Remember when the producer for this game said that it wouldn't get any post-launch story DLC? Well, I do. So Tales of Arise Beyond the Dawn is here, a brand new story DLC for the world of Arise, Bandai's smashing success. The idea of revisiting this cast and this world left me kind of excited as what they could do. The question is, did they manage to pull off something great, or is Tales of Arise beyond its time?
Kisara, why are you staring at me with a gaze like the coldest winter?
For better or for worse, this is just Tales of Arise, but again. Combat is exactly the same. There's no new mechanics, characters, moves, or enemies. Kind of. You'll be upgrading the same skill panels, doing the same combos, and not to mention, nothing transfers from the base game, so you'll need to unlock almost everything again. To be upfront, this can be both a boon and a bane. For me, I didn't really want to have to redo all my accessory crafting and skill panel progression. It just seems tedious and kind of pointless to not have my main game progress carry over in a meaningful way. They give you a little bit of extra bonuses for having main game save data, but could I just get my characters and my progression? Just no reason for me to have to unlock all that again. I could accept this if the game was trying to pose a challenge, like giving you set loadouts on arts or capping your levels so that fights would be a bit more difficult. But no. Much like the base game, Beyond the Dawn's biggest boss fights are just giant HP sponges that you whack until they're dead. I'll admit, it was nice to revisit the combat system. I found my feelings similar to the base game because nothing changed. I still had fun doing the same combos and using flashy yet effective and quick boost strikes. The end result, at least combat-wise, is that if you enjoyed Tales of Arise's combat, you'll probably be fine with Beyond the Dawn's. It's effectively the exact same thing. And if you didn't, then you're probably not going to enjoy this DLC at all. The same problems do persist though, like the lack of enemy variety, but I think they fixed the sponginess for the most part outside of a few encounters.
Not to worry, Law. I have found that it is never too late to learn such things.
My own opinions on Tales of Arise's original story is that it does a pretty good job at setting up the racial tensions between the Dahnans and the Renans. This pretty much continues until the story goes up into space and starts trying to humanitize one-note sociopaths who were never interesting in the first place. I guess you could call me a hypocrite, but my general complaint is that Arise's story did not have the time to flesh out these lords as characters, and the attempts to say, well, people on Lenegis did like them and they did what they had to do because they had their reasons, feels very hollow. We now revisit Dahna about a year after the worlds merged, and there's clearly a lot of the same racial tensions now that regular civilian Renans are forced to integrate with Dahnans. It was nice to see this kind of similar buildup of the tensions in my opinion, because that was something that Arise did well, and Beyond the Dawn also does decently well. You can see there are those who want to get along, those who don't want to get along, those who look down on others, and just a variety of viewpoints on the situation. This once again sets the tone of the story when the new character, Nazamil, is introduced. And Nazamil is... spoilers, I guess, really quick here. But I mean, it's revealed pretty much in the promotional material. She's a half Renan, half Dahnan child who is also the daughter of a lord. In short, she's kind of a new piece to the already problematic racism puzzle of the world. Very obviously, racism is bad and stupid. Tossing Nazamil out of places because she's not purely one race or another is, again, stupid. But this poor girl has clearly been through a lot and is very avoidant of people. By the end of what I'd call the first chapter, she's somewhat integrated into our motley crew of misfits, as all JRPGs have that kind of crew. Before I give away too much, that's pretty much the basis of the story. I'm going to spoil some stuff in the next section, so skip that one if you don't want to get spoiled. Or if you haven't played it yet, I guess.
Rice! Ice cream!
Meat! Caviar!
You guys aren't helping.
From there, the game kind of turns in this new direction. It feels like we're headed somewhere interesting with the plot, giving Alphen a new arc and Nazamil showing off some of her power. The issue is that we don't get much of that after this. Alphen's desire not to be put on a pedestal is a neat arc, but it doesn't really head in many directions after, like, a few scenes. I found his outburst in Niaz to be pretty interesting and kind of terrifying considering the kind heart he's always had. But that, again, kind of goes nowhere, since when we finally start his new arc of trying to tell people that heroes are only human, and that the people need to work together and not solely rely on him in order for this society to flourish. Surprise, the people of Niaz are being brainwashed by big iron masks. And at the point where Nazamil leaves the party, I kind of figured the story was going to go in this direction. The whole I can't stand people not liking my friends. Oh, I should control how people think. Wow, what a genuinely interesting story, and definitely not a story beat that has been used 200 times. I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but it feels like a ton of JRPGs keep going down this path of removal of all emotions kind of trope. Like the world would be better if people just thought one way and felt a certain way at all times. And there are ways to do it well, but for the most part, it feels like this trope just keeps on happening over and over, and the execution rarely benefits the narrative. The whole, a better world is one where I don't have to think for myself is kind of done to death at this point. And I was kind of hoping that this story, given that all the spacey stuff was done and dead with the original Arise, would stay contained and wouldn't dedicate itself to going off the rails attempting some world-altering conflict. You could say that my hopes got the better of me here. But by the end of the story for Beyond the Dawn, I was kind of unchanged. I didn't dislike the ending the way I absolutely abhor the final Volron fight in the Rise. But I just wish the story was more about Nazamil and the tensions between the people than some world-ending I must save everyone by controlling their thoughts kind of thing. I wish the story was more involved with Alphen's discomfort about being called a hero. And you only really spend a few hours with Nazamil, maybe even like not even barely an hour with Nazamil before she up and disappears. So by the end of this DLC, I didn't feel like my overall opinions of Arise really changed much as a full package.
Yeah, totally! They do smell, yummy, don't they?
What? La, please don't eat my books.
There are a lot of things about Arise I enjoyed. From the first 30 to 40 hours of the story, to the combat, to the graphical style, I think there's a lot to love. But the issues that arise once you hit the second half and the final boss just kind of stick in my mind. Beyond the Dawn is Tales of Arise without a doubt. There's not a lot of new, per se. It's got similar issues to Arise as a whole. And, I mean, even the weird pop-in thing is still there. For $30, you're paying essentially just for the story. There's really nothing new here. And also that Nostalgia DLC pack is way overpriced. What the hell were they thinking? But in short, I don't think Beyond the Dawn does anything incredibly impressive, nor is it purely awful. It's just more Tales of Arise. If you liked the base game, you'll probably like this. And if you didn't like the base game, I really don't recommend playing this at all. For me, I think this was good, but overall, kind of pointless. It's almost obviously made because of Arise's success, and was definitely not planned in advance. I mean, the end credits of Arise kind of make that obvious. But it is what it is, and if you have any thoughts about Tales of Arise and its DLC Beyond the Dawn, you can leave a comment down below. As always, you can leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to the channel for more things Bandai, Tales of, and JRPG related. For those of you who are wondering about whether I'm going to review Persona 5 Tactica, that is happening, but it's not happening relatively soon. I'm pretty much no longer forcing myself to blow through games in less than a week, and then pushing out a review for it that quickly, because it lets me think about things and, write a more interesting review. So you'll have to wait a bit longer than normal for that. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
This is the true mind of the Phantom Thieves. I'll do my best.